Hey y'all, out here at Alloway's Hot Rod Shop, and he's got a 1955 Plymouth Savoy I think y'all are gonna like. Let me get the camera turned around, we'll take a quick look at it.
So you couldn't find a 55 Chevrolet, you build a 55 Savoy, Bobby?
Actually, he wanted me to build a 55 Chevrolet. Probably my favorite car in the world is probably a 55 Chevrolet.
Yeah.
That's one of the first cars that I ever have. I drove a 55 two-door hardtop in high school. And Gene came up to me in Nashville a few years ago and wanted me to build a 55 Chevrolet. And I said, what can we do to a 55 Chevrolet that hasn't been done to a 55 Chevrolet other than screw it up? You know, they're beautiful cars and they've been done and done and done. They're sort of like a 32 Ford. I mean, everybody that's ever wanted one has done one, and there's nothing wrong with that. They're beautiful cars, but I wanted to do something a little different, and I had a 55 Plymouth Savoy, and the reason I bought it was because my mother took me to school when I first started school. That's what I rode to school in. It was a 55 Plymouth Savoy, and actually it was the same color as the one that we built for him. It was a blue car, and she tells me that was the first car I ever painted. I painted it with a spray can. I painted the wheels red on it. She tells the story, but anyway, I asked Gene. I said, are you dead set on a 55 Chevrolet? And he said, no. He said, what do you have in mind? I said, a 55 Plymouth. And he said, it basically looked at me like I'd lost my mind. And I said, let me send you a drawing of it. And Brockmeyer had did a drawing of it for me that I was going to build a car for myself. I sent it to him. He called me back and he said, build it. So, and basically that was the beginning of the end of that car, that he said build it, and we built it basically like the drawing was. So.
How long did it take you to do it?
Forever.
Yeah.
Look, it wasn't. We waited on the engine. We had a screw up on the engine for a while, and the car was done and sitting here painted. Actually, it was probably the only car that I've ever had upholstered without a motor in it. But I was trying to speed the process up and took it to Steve, and he was good enough to upholster it without the engine in it, and we'd pre-wired it and all of that stuff, just trying to get it. And the engine guy ran into a few problems with the engine, and we kept putting it off, and finally we got the engine and finished the car. But the car was painted and rubbed for a long time, so I'm ashamed of how long it actually took. But
well, we don't have to tell anybody. It took a long time, even by your definition. It took a long time.
It took a long time. It did.
Well, and again,
we didn't work on it that long. We waited. We hurry up and wait.
Well, no, when you started down the path of Mopar, right, you had to kind of figure that's going to be tough to find stuff for that.
I had 3 cars.
Oh.
I had 3 parts cars.
Oh, so you figured you had it covered.
And I still didn't have enough for the Plymouth stuff. I found new old stock tail lights. I found new old stock parking lot. I mean, and this is what's stupid. You know, I paid $1,000 for a set of parking lot lenses for this thing, but they were new old stock with backup lights in them. And
now, did you do anything to them?
Because
even new
I
old
held
stock,
them very carefully and put them in the car.
I mean, even being stock, I would think, you know, to you'd look at them and go, well, they need to be re-chromed, even though they're
No, I'm talking about lenses.
Oh.
Lenses,
yeah.
Yes.
Just the lens?
Just the lenses.
Not the whole assembly?
No, just the lenses. The lenses with the backup.
Cow.
You'll see when you go around the car, you can zoom in on the backup lights, and that's what was the special part of them. They're a plastic chrome deal, and they were new old stock stuff, and the parking lots was the same way.
And they're like unique to the look of the car, like you didn't want to change them, thinking, well, we can.
Why would I change them?
Well, because they were $1,000 for the lenses, and be like, you know.
And it would have cost $2 to change them. So,
oh, I see. Yeah, I got you.
So.
Right. So they kind of get you in a box in those things.
Yeah. It was like the rear glass. Nobody makes a rear back glass for the car, and I went through 4 or 5 rear glasses before I ever found one that was suitable enough for the car. And that's what's hard about building these oddball cars. You know, we're building a 58 Edsel right now, and I could shoot myself at times on it. But
well, I'm seeing a theme, right? Because we talked about the Starliner before, and that was a rare car. 1 year is all they made it. And now we come down here, we're looking at a Savoy. And then you got an Edsel in the shop is the next thing you're working on.
To SEMA this year, we took 3 one-year-only cars. We took a 59 El Camino, which is a 1-year-only, first El Camino. We took 63 split window, and we took this Plymouth to SEMA. No, we took the Riviera to SEMA, which 65 Riviera is a 1-year-only car too.
Man, it seems like there's more of those.
3 and 4s. not 65.
They look-
The
they look
3
like-
and 4s didn't have the clamshell headlights like they did on Roadhouse.
Right. But it still had the same shape.
It still had the same shape. But the 65 was the last year it had the clamshell headlights. The 63s and 4s, the headlights were exposed.
Oh, okay. What wheels and tires are you running on this one?
A set of billet specials, but they're the slots instead of the spokes.
Again, you got to call Alloway's Hot Rods.
Yeah. Well, we build a car and put the wheels on
So-
them. I don't want to. I mean, other companies make wheels similar to that, and they look close. But the ones that Billet makes for me are a little special wheel, very expensive. And it's not because of Billet Special he's making them. It's the thickness of the aluminum for the center to get the big swoop in the wheel. I mean, it's I think a normal wheel is about 2.5 to 3 inches thick. The center is, and some of these wheels here are 10 and 11 inches thick. In the
So
back.
it's as much product as anything
It
else.
is, and you throw all of that away when you mill all of it off just to get a little bit of swoop in the spoke. So,
I often wondered how much out of a block of aluminum do you end up with percentage-wise in a wheel? Because there is
not
scrap
much,
everywhere,
not much,
right?
And to my knowledge, they buy those sections in bulk. They have a big piece of billet, and they have them sawed to a certain length and thickness, and that's how they do it. And then when you have to stop and have something else made special for this wheel, and then it screws up a lot of production is what it does.
I see.
Yeah.
Tell me, when you look at the Savoy, what do you find cool about it?
It's different. It's still, it's a different car. Is it as pretty as a 55 Chevrolet? No, it's not. But it's a unique car in its own, and I like big motors, so I wanted to put a HEMI in one. So what else better to do it than?
Well, don't they say
55?
HEMI in anything? Ford and Ford, Chevy and Chevy, HEMI in anything?
Well, yeah, some people. Yeah, but a HEMI's better in a Chrysler product.
No, I agree with you. Now, again, it's a cool car. It is unique. I wouldn't imagine that there's several that have been done to this level.
Well, if you want to get a little bit of coverage out of something, you want to do a little different. If I was to call the magazines and ask them if they wanted to shoot a 55 Chevrolet, then they've probably shot. If I build a 55 Chevrolet, it's a black 55 Chevrolet, big tires and little tires and big motors in it, and you see them. We'll look at the Tri-5 deal down in Bowling Green.
Right.
There's all over the place, but a 55 Plymouth is a little bit more unique. You've got Chrysler fans out there too, and I grew up. My first job was at a Chrysler dealership, so, but it wasn't in 55.
No, it's in 60 something.
Yeah.
All right. Well, brother, again, as always, Alloway's Hot Rods have done an awesome job on a Plymouth. To make a Plymouth cool, I think that takes just a little bit more creativity and work than it does to take a 55 or even a Ford and make them cool.
Well, true. It's just a little something to, and this one's got the Morrison chassis on it. We're sort of true to brand, and we every one of them's about got a Morrison chassis under them, and it's not the actual chassis you can buy out of the
It's a one-off
catalog.
custom,
It is.
yeah.
It is. We measure all of them up, and they're good enough that they bend them the way that we want them bent, and move this in and move that in, and I do get to. They do tell me sometimes that it's not going to work as good if we do it like that, and I say, yeah, I know, but boy, it sure does look
It's
good.
going to look good, right? We're not going to race them. We want them to look good.
Exactly right.
Well, you nailed it, brother.
Steve?
Scotty?
Wow. Right?
I know it.
That's a lot of flash in there.
Yeah.
It's black, but the chrome's in the right spots.
All right.
Man, a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Them
chrome in
gauges.
these right here, especially in these 50 model cars. And it sort of fits the theme of the outside of the cars. They have a lot of chrome, and you can see the gauge clusters and everything.
Right.
All chrome plated, so it needs black and chrome on the inside when you do these.
Yeah. And are those the seats out of this, or what are those seats out of?
These seats are actually out of a like 65 Thunderbird. It's got the chrome all the way around it, and we take them apart and have all that stainless chrome plated. And then the same thing with all the trim. We'll take and we'll hand bend all of it to fit the console, whatever we make, and then we send it to Dan's polishing and have it all chrome plated also.
What's that button for?
Emergency brake. I just found that out.
Oh, no kidding. Wow, it's got an electronic one in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. How cool is that? And then the RPMs is all the way on this side of the dash.
Isn't that crazy?
It
Never
is
seen that
crazy.
before.
Yeah. Wow. You think that's the way it was?
I'd say it was.
Yeah, I agree. Considering. I don't know that Alloways would make a change like that. Yeah. Oh, I really like it.
Thank you. If you notice, we made all these 3D, the door panels, the back panels, and everything. It was Eric Brockmeyer rendering, and then we adjusted some stuff and made it come up, with this.
Yeah, because Alloways is going to want you to keep it looking stock but cool custom.
Right.
They're not going to do anything too way to make it like a street machine type interior or something like that.
Yeah, same thing with the headliner. We put a stock style cloth headliner in it, and keep the theme of the era, the year the cars are. A lot of interiors that we do are, like Bobby said, a lot more custom to fit a custom car. But the way Bobby Alloway builds these cars, he builds them where they're almost look like they was back in the day, except for the big wheels and tires. So we try to do the interior the same way
to make it look make to fit the rest of the build. Like
exactly.
I say, you wouldn't want the interior to. Hey, you always do it. You know what I'm saying? You always make it fit. I like that steering wheel. That's that steering wheel he was talking about too.
Yeah,
that's
crazy.
Cool. Yeah,
that's good.
Now, do you think it would have been a bench car, or do you think it was buckets?
It probably could have been a bench car back in the day.
Yeah, I like them door panels too. I like that 3D in there, right?
Yeah.
And it fits really good. It doesn't jump out as that's something modern.
Right. Yeah, even though they didn't have 3D door panels back in the 50s.
Right.
We made it, but it still looks like it could have came like that in the 50s.
Yeah, it doesn't look out of place. It looks good. Yeah, very molded, very nice.
Man, as always, that is just beautiful how that motor sits in there. And this one, you didn't have as much room as you had, say, on that Starliner, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, they're about the same because of the front track of the front end is about the same on them. So we moved the tires and stuff in. So actually, when you look, there's probably the same amount of room under this car as they are that car.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, the inner fenders look so much narrower in this one than in the other one. Now that motor still looks as mammoth, every bit as mammoth.
When you see that the inner fenders on the Starliner, the front fenders are only about 2 inches wide. So you see. So these fenders are probably 5 or 6 or 8 inches wide versus. So that's the reason the inner fenders look. So we probably added 4 inches to these inner wheel, but we made them. But other than stock, they're probably 4 inches wider because we sucked the front end in probably 5 or 6 inches narrower than stock width.
What motor is that?
That's an Indy cylinder head HEMI. It's based on an old 426 style. I think it's 509 cubic inches, something like that. Like I say, Milan Keesler Racing Engines built the engine. We did a 70 Dodge Challenger years ago.
She-Devil.
She-Devil. That's the same motor that was in She-Devil, except this one's carbureted and She-Devil was injected. So.
And that was the other one. It's all aluminum.
All aluminum.
And doesn't he start out with like a chunk of aluminum and cuts his own blocks?
That's some
and
of the
everything
blocks
else?
that he had made to start out with. Yes.
Man, how custom can you get? Start out with a block of aluminum and get a motor out of it at the end of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
John Patera, the one that he died. He was the guy who basically started the billet craze in California. He was a very good friend of mine, and he's the one that started. Him and Boyd actually started the hot rod deal. And John would always say, you'd say, how do you make that? And he was making little mirrors and stuff like that. And his term was always, how do you make that? And he said, well, you take this block and you cut everything away from it that doesn't look like a mirror, and then you've got a mirror. But that was his famous saying, is that's how you make some of that stuff out of aluminum. So.
Would you mind telling me what you're taking to SEMA this year?
The Plymouth is going in PPG's booth.
Okay.
The 65 Mustang Fastback, that's sort of it's got a Robert Yates engine in it, sort of all Detroit speed stuff under it, sort of like a road race car, but it's got a little bit of our style to it. It's going in Taylor Wire's booth. And then we're doing a 40 Ford Coupe for a customer in North Carolina that owns a Ford dealership with a Boss 429 in it. It's going in Armo's booth. That's a aftermarket booth there at SEMA. It's actually one of SEMA's booths. So we're taking 3 this year. So.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing those other ones. Again, Bobby, thanks for giving me time today, brother.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So there you go from Alloway's Hot Rod Shop, a 1955 Plymouth Savoy. Hope y'all have enjoyed it. See ya! Hey y'all, don't forget to visit ScottieDTV.com for more cool content and an easy way to search the hundreds of videos I have posted. Either click the link in the description or the logo at the end of this video.